It's Chainsaw Tuesday, you know what that means. This week's chapter basically confirms that Asa Mitaka will die. Or will she? Asa Mitaka wants Denji to use the opening she is going to create to eat Yoru while saving Denji. But will he? Well, I think there was a lot to break down in this chapter, and there are a lot of neat little writing tricks that Fujimoto used here to set up what will probably be one of the best conclusions to a Chainsaw Man arc since the Reze arc or the end of part 1. From now until October 31st, Gamer Subs is holding a special sale. When you use code CTactics, you will get 20% off until October 31st. My recommendations are Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Energy and their new Crimson Moonburst Sups flavor. Make sure to pick it up with either the now new I Come in Peace waifu cup or the now new Boo waifu cup. Code CTactics, everyone. Get it while it lasts. Second ad! Kinda. I have a main channel, and there I uploaded a 40-minute mega essay where we watched the entire real-life film that Makima and Denji cried to. We dissected it beat by beat and then explained why both cried along with explaining the Country Mouse allegory. It's a banging video. Check it out. 218 picks up from 217 as Yoru and Chainsaw guts and body parts are strewn across the battlefield of Denji's former school. Denji's true self, his inner child, is in shock because Asa, in one of the most shocking moments, which isn't surprising either to be fair, asks Denji to eat her and erase her after she retakes her body to create an opening. Now, this is important to distinguish, but Asa no longer has control. Yoru has full reign, which on one hand, I'm not exactly complaining there because Yoru has been exquisite as a main villain thus far. This is actually a mini payoff to a theory I had a while back too. I think I even made a video on it where a big portion of my theory was that Asa's character would become her basically trying to regain autonomy over Yoru. I was very early in calling that, like I think a lot of us were. Maybe it's just kind of obvious. I don't know. Maybe we're just all smart. But this is a good sign for Asa lovers such as myself because I don't think Asa's dying. And after this chapter, I am even more sure that no matter what, Asa Mitaka is not being eaten, not being killed, and it is totally not Asa over. It's only Asa begun. We'll talk more about that later in the video. As for now, Asa lays out her reasoning. She explains that this is the only way that Yoru can be defeated and continues to plead while Denji is somewhat obstinate, exclaiming that she must understand that he doesn't want to kill her. Before we move on further, I think this was a big moment for Denji himself too, because it shows that while Denji has been assaulted both physically and sexually by a woman who is literally using the face and form of Asa, Denji still doesn't want to kill her. In fact, I find it odd. Denji doesn't even seem to be harboring any negative feelings towards Asa Yoru. This makes me wonder if Denji, much like how Asa is about to describe her own view of things, thinks that the actions taken in due part by Yoru are things that he refuses to blame anyone for but himself. Maybe this is me being Captain Obviously again, but this kind of just stuck in my head, because what if that part of Denji's brain is the part that may come in later to save his ass? Maybe it is also what will allow Denji to allow himself to get close to Asa too, because in my own life, I've learned that many of the issues humans have and carry around them are double-edged swords. Double-edged swords are the concept that basically those things which are bad can also be good for you. Not at all a silver lining, that's a bit different, but something that both hurts and fights for you. Sort of like a manifestation of an instinct or a gut feeling. I could just be yapping autistically at this point, honestly. I don't know what I'm saying. Hopefully you understand. So Asa goes on to explain that she sees herself as good as dead, and I think she lays out a pretty good reason to feel this kind of despair. She thought that she could really fix Yoru by befriending her and convincing her that these evil things she wants are things that she could talk her out of. This made me think of that meme where men or women, they try to fix the toxic partners they have, like with Makima, because we all know you think you can fix her. I think I can fix her, but do you really want to fix her, or do you just want to fix you? I think for Asa, however, she doesn't want to, hook up with herself, so we're going to take the other interpretation here. She wanted to actually try to help Yoru, and you can really feel for her here. This makes sense for her character because of her natural, nurturing nature we often see. Alliteration. If you noticed, Asa, despite being so hurt and distrustful, always seems to have this built-up reserve of energy to care for people. It's really interesting because she cares so little for herself, but when it comes to people like Denji, Yoru, Yuko, or even Lil D, and the other members of Team Asa remember that joke? She will give herself away to make sure that they are happy or safe. Ironically, I think this depressing, sacrificial, but ultimately selfless reasoning of hers will be the key pillar of what ends up making her more indestructible than Rider Braun in Attack on Titan by the end of this series. Just you wait, you will all be Asatistically by the end, I promise. Sadly enough, Asa has reserved herself to the reality that Yoru will never give her body back. But somehow, for her, the silver lining is a depressing reality. She says that if death takes over, that all of the humans will die and Earth will belong to devils, and that she is okay with this because he can come back to life and has the face of a devil, and she is sure that he would blend in. To me, this harkened back to Reze telling Denji he has the face of her dead dog. Oh, that is very clever, Fujimoto. Now just bring back Reze or I will go on hunger strike, you fool! This is very clearly, to me, Asa's emotions for Denji overwhelming her thoughts. And since we know, joking aside, that Asa is on the spectrum, aka autistic, bipolar, or something. By the way, fun fact, I was diagnosed with manic depression last week, by the way, so I am officially Asatistic. To the surprise of no one watching these videos. I can make these jokes now, though, without being canceled, but I think that Asa has so many thoughts swirling around in her noggin that she created all of this without ever even talking to Denji about it. And why would she even know to do that in the first place, right? I mean, she has been doing this all alone. She's used to it. So I wonder if Denji sees her plan as stupid or something he just doesn't vibe with, and his instinct may tell him otherwise. Because, as I've stated before, there are more ways than one to get rid of Yoru. Just eat nuclear weapons again, or concepts that are integral to the making of nuclear weapons. For example, the Rocket Devil. I mean, hell, what about Bomb Girl, you know? Bomb is integral to the nuclear bomb, right? We'll see, though. But I think Fujimoto is using Asa's Asatism and purposefully showing how irrational she is, and thus she jumps onto some sort of train of irrational thought. It also shows that Asa Mitaka freaking loves Denji to the point that she would sacrifice herself to make sure he at least has a chance of living. She would rather intentionally create the apocalypse and extinction of humanity than to see this poor boy suffer one more second. Now, I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but Asa and Eren would probably get along. But what about this plan makes Denji suffer less, though? That's what I have to ask. The answer? Nothing. Denji, despite being so hurt, seems to like humanity well enough. I mean, yeah, he gets hurt by a lot of people, but you never really see Denji going, down with everyone, I guess. And just because Asa doesn't care what happens to her anymore or to others, that doesn't mean that any of this is set in stone. Because it is irrational, and if you know, being irrational and the ability to not stop thinking are two symptoms you do not want in life because it keeps you away from what reality actually is. Asa kinda isn't the person to be taking shots from. She's got a decent plan hidden in there, which is blow her brains out to create an opening. But beyond that, yeah, I don't know about the rest. So Asa haters, don't get your hopes up. By the way, why do you guys hate Asa so much? She's fucking cool, dude. Join the club. We're happy over here. Look at all of our joy for Asa we have. Also, we kind of want you to join our side, too. Because we want you to understand that Asa is the best. That's all. Please, we need more people. We need more people on our side. So Asa begins to give one of the most depressing and yet relatable monologues in this entire series. I'm not sure I've seen anything quite like this in any of Chainsaw Man, even in part 2, which is kind of why I love Asa so much. She is this imperfect encapsulation of what it's like to be mentally unhealthy and how that affects your perceptions, which leads to very interesting moments such as this. Boy, do I love the word interesting. She says that she's accepted her lot in life and that she has no hope because even if she could go back to normal, she probably wouldn't be able to sleep, which shows that her consciousness would be filled with the horrors of this time in her life. She's basically saying she will be overwhelmed by the trauma forever. Now, this is because of the horrible things she's done, like killing people and even uncovering repressed memories of her father's death and her complicit nature, or maybe what she believes to be complicit, in her tangled mess of a head. She can basically never forgive herself. So she has become suicidal and believes that at the very least, ending her own life like this would help her redeem herself. Her troubled mind and the actions which have caused her so much grief would then vanish. She wants to go out doing the right thing, though. She says with perfect grammar, Denji saved her, so she wants to die saving Denji. So she asks, would you kindly eat me? Okay? Honestly, I don't know if anyone else notices this, but I think Fujimoto tries his hardest at times to make Asa seem like really sexy when she says stuff like that, but I can't help it, I just laugh. To me, at the very least, I think Asa has basically zero riz. So whenever Fujimoto has her do these things, I just kind of end up giggling because, well, it's just Asa. Anyways, whatever. This is a massive W for Asa fans, and I guarantee that one. This right here, though, is what I just talked about, and shouldn't really be seen as a red flag for her death, but a red herring. Asa Mitaka just completely overwhelmed Denji with so much information in a matter of moments. So, to me, there is not a single chance anyone in their right mind would go along with this, even if she didn't mention what she said there. If a person's reasoning for creating an opening is because that person is emotional in any context, then you just shouldn't go through with it. If you noticed, Asa is doing this only because she feels guilty and thinks she deserves to die to atone. She doesn't ask Denji what he thought, or really anyone else thought for that matter. Her solution beyond that as well is really illogical. Why in the world would Asa, who literally said in the last arc that they are superheroes, go forward with killing the entire human race? And at the same time, isn't it kind of weird how she says she wants to go out doing the right thing and she's done all these horrible things? Why would she further do horrible, arguably really horrible things like allowing the extinction of the human race? Seems a little counterintuitive, right? But this is when it hit me. Asa Mitaka isn't saving Denji. She is pleading to be saved. Not out of a romantic gesture, mind you, but out of a genuine plea to take the weight of the pain of her decisions off of her shoulders. See, Asa already saved Denji and didn't trip. She did all of that. So when she says that stuff, it's kind of like, you already did that, girl. But what she may be missing here is that just because she feels this heavy weight doesn't mean she is really guilty of anything. If you think about it, Asa, in all of these examples in her life that we've seen, was saved by someone. At first, it was her mother, then it was Yoru, then it was Yuko, then it was Denji, and so on and so forth, time and time again. That is just who Asa is, and I think that's also what makes her endearing to us. I think we all see a little bit of ourselves inside of Asa, and I feel like if she were a real person, let's say a part of this community, I think we'd all help someone like her. But she needs someone who will be with her and help her back up. There is nothing wrong with that, and oddly, this is what it feels like to be a man in today's society. We're always told that we got to do the hard work alone, you know? It's our cross to bear and our cross are alone. So to see Asa go through this issue as a woman? Oh my god, that is so refreshing, because I guarantee you that's not just something men experience. So big old W to you, Fujimoto. But continuing on, I don't know. I don't think it's her fault other people saved her. And yeah, I get it. Survivor's guilt is an issue, and that is tough. But that doesn't mean what she says is the right thing to go through with. I think Asa will probably hate it and curse Denji for doing so, but I think there is an absolute zero chance Denji could or would eat Asa at this point. Maybe if they never met, sure. But come on, there's no way at this point. And remember, Denji would surely hate to kill a hottie, and Asa is pretty cute. I mean, just look at that meep face. It's just adorable. Speaking of cute, Fami gives it her all and feeds Pochita her blood to rev his engines, to which Yoru yells at the poor thing to stop attempting to sully her holy war, which honestly just reminded me that I need to listen to that Megadeth album again, because my god, that is a great album. But Fami, probably with a dainty and squeaky voice, is like, nah fam, you're the weakling. I dug that so much because Fami is right and you wouldn't expect it, from her. Yoru is not unlike many of the cowardly dictators flaunting their abilities to use nukes in the past and in the current, when in reality, I think all these kinds of people want, especially Yoru, is to just torture people because they're bored and quite frankly a little useless. Yoru is just like any dictator out there, a 2-bit weakling. It shows with her constantly running away when she isn't overpowered. If there is a chance of her demise, she runs like with the Falling Devil's introduction, and more recently, when she ran away to let Denji deal with her problems and acted all like she was some dominant woman. Okay. Yoru is only scary because of nukes. She isn't scary without all of that power to prop up her fragile ego. I mean, think of it this way. Imagine going to see the band Ghost live, and they come out with none of the masks. They just, no costumes, no nothing. It probably wouldn't be as good, right? Probably wouldn't be nearly as intimidating or nearly as cool, right? Which makes me think, did Fujimoto make Yoru as a metaphor for dictators in our current time, like Vladimir Putin? Sort of matches up in some ways. I mean, what do you guys think? So we get this beautiful shot of Yoru getting ready to fire away at Pochita, but instead Asa blows her brains out. Jesus! That was sudden and kind of insane to look at. She does that obviously to give them enough time for everyone and apparently the kitchen sink to work together, including a returning sword guy, Little D, and Yoni Guillotine. This is freaking awesome, and I got goosebumps watching this. And also, did you guys notice? These 3 panels right here in particular look so much like Chainsaw Man Part 1 in terms of that neat and clean art style. I know many people believe the quality was downgraded. I don't really think that. So I wonder if Fujimoto got a new prodigy assistant and is getting ready for Chainsaw Man Part 3 by slowly ramping up that art style again. To me, those felt much more in line when Yukinobu Tatsu was still working with Chainsaw Man Part 1, in particular near the end of Part 1. Also, it was so awesome to see Sword Hunk back in the fight. It's been a couple of chapters since we last saw him, and I think this could be hinting at something more, which I'll talk about later in the video. But I am so glad that Gilly is back too, and that shot of her mincing up Yoru as she regenerates her head was just, oh man, that was immaculate and so satisfying. While it hurts kinda to see Asa get all chopped up, it does feel good to see Yoru get chopped up. I guess you could call that a double-edged sword. But this woman deserves everything, and then some. But sadly, despite her regenerative powers, Yoru is still able to behead both of her sisters and Sword Guy, as we see the closing shot of Pochita standing on Gilly. Oh, guys, this chapter was so satisfying, especially that ending. From Asa to Denji to Yoru getting her head blown off, and then getting a couple of nice returns, including an honest-to-God moment where Fami does a thing or two. Oh, this chapter was 100% worth the wait, and that is undeniable. So here are my theories. My first theory is that I now see more clearly what the final makeup of the cast in Chainsaw Man may resemble in the future. I think it will be Denji, Pochita, Lil D, Fami, Sword Guy, Katana Man, Quan Chi, along with the other hopefuls like Kobeni, Kishibe, and of course Reze, along with the Control Devil rattling around somewhere. I say this every week ad nauseum, and I keep bringing it up for a reason because I don't want to forget, but because my opinions keep changing every week and I keep getting hyped up for it, so I want to keep talking about it. But to me, it's starting to seem more and more as if Fujimoto isn't done with these characters based on, well, the Reze reference for one, or at least what I think is a Reze reference in this chapter. I just think that we will see more devils, more devil hunters, and whoever else pops back up in this series again. It just wouldn't feel right to me, and I think this chapter shows that we're far from over. We're just shifting gears. Also, kind of would be lame if the series ends at Denji's school, no? We definitely gotta go to hell, right? At some point, right? That's got to be like the promo trailers for Part 3 when it's starting to come out next year, right? Chainsaw Man goes straight to hell. My other theory, though, Asa isn't dying because of Chapter 1. Chapter 1, Pochita becomes Denji's heart, and they sign a binding contract. The point of this bond is for Denji to find true happiness. I think where Part 2 ends is the plan Asa set forth failing, as we're seeing in this chapter, because Pochita will not allow Denji or himself to go through with killing stealing his happiness, which in turn gives Yoru an opening to recover and get into a position where she is even more powerful. Plus, I don't think Yoru will die even if Pochita goes forward with Asa's plan. The reason is simply because Yoru has full control of a lot of devils in hell. You're telling me that these devils would just let their queen Yoru die just like that? Pfft, doubt it. Yoru isn't weak now. She is all powerful and cowardly. She will either run to a devil or run away before she allows herself to die. The only way that she's dying, my friends, is if they corner her. The plan, otherwise, is doomed in my eyes because of this. But this should allow Pochita to tell Denji that he needs to save Asa because all he wants is for him to be happy, and this would fulfill their contract and thus bring peace to Pochita, and maybe in the process, a little flashback for our little puppers. Doesn't make sense to me, though, that part 2 ends with the series at this point. I mean, I think part 3 has a lot to dig into, and we still haven't seen Kishibe, Kobeni, Rize, Quan Chi, Fami, and by the way, where the freak is that Asa Mitaka boomer at? Dude is probably pissed that Yoru kicked him off of her. If you enjoyed the video, please check out the next chapter of Chainsaw Man here, or watch my video on why Makima cried in the Reze art. Drop a lot of orange hearts if you made it to the end of the video. Also, join my Discord server. Make it a great game. The choice is yours.